Y'all signed up? Was there nothing else good going on, or? Well, I'm going to let you think about that, because I'm going to ask you again in a minute. So think about why you're here. I'm so happy to be here.
Sorry.
You're okay, you're good. I started early, that's my fault. But... Okay, cool.
I think engagement with students right now is horrible.
Oh, interesting. Okay, we're going to talk about that a little bit. Good. Okay, well, I just taught a class. We'll see how this next one goes. I have a general plan, but I'd like to be open to the classroom dynamics and what y'all need. So anyway, here we go. I'm super happy to be here. And I want to talk a little bit about my own school journey. I'm thinking maybe some of your students have it similar. Even though at 17 I went off to university, I was so excited to be there. And I was so motivated that I would sign up for 7 a.m. classes and fill my schedule, hike across campus, get to my 7 a.m. class, and I was so exhausted after my 7 a.m. class that I would go in the women's lounge and fall asleep and miss all my other classes. So I had a lot of motivation, but very little wisdom about how to balance my time and energy. When I was thinking back on that time, I remember that I had to choose between a 10-cent hot dog at the gas station for dinner or a 25-cent chicken pot dog. Sometimes I had beef, but those were what I could afford for dinner, and I'm kind of guessing I probably didn't eat breakfast for the same reason. It actually took me 12 years, moving to 3 different countries, 5 different states, and having 4 children before I was able to finish that degree. So all my motivation sort of fizzled out. Life took some turns for me. Many years later, I earned a master's degree with 4 children on my lap. I had a few more skills, and I had a lot more food, and I had a supportive husband, so I did a little better. And then many years later, when my kids were getting ready to leave home, I had the opportunity to go back to school and earn a Ph.D. in mind-body medicine. And I was thinking about, I don't have any pictures of myself, but this man was the dean of my program. And I was thinking what a difference he made in my life and my experience getting that PhD. I actually finished faster than anyone's ever finished in the 13 years since I finished. But I think about the support that he gave me, and just a quick example of that is one thing he said to me one time that I'll never forget. I said, I promise I'll quit asking you questions after this one. I know I've been driving you crazy, and I really worried that I was. And he said, Beth, don't do that. I'll worry that an alien has taken over your body and I won't know where to find you. But what a sweet example of support and kindness and encouragement, right? I felt like he really saw me, and that after that I felt like it was okay to just be me, and I didn't have to worry so much about driving me crazy. So, a little bit about me. So I did get all those degrees eventually. I'm the Chief Impact Officer for Trula, and I'm here with my colleague Tasha. She drove all the way from St. George to be here because it's just the kind of thing she does to support me and to support you. I'm really grateful for her being here. I was a therapist I have been a therapist for 25 years, once a therapist, always a therapist. And I have 3 different coach certifications. I ended up creating a coach training workshop that became best practices in the customer support industry. And then Trula brought me in, we reformatted it and put it in a learning management system. And we train our peer coaches using my training program. And we're going to talk about how you can access that training program if you would like for free as a resource to you. And then I'm also adjunct faculty at Saybrook University. Today we're going to talk about the impact that you have in coaching conversation with your students. You might not be a certified or professional coach, but you can have coaching conversations with your students that can make a big difference in their lives, just like my dean made for me when I was a student in my PhD program. Who likes to read? A bunch of teachers here. Who loves to read? Yes, over here. Could you read that really loud for us, please? What is a coach? And she's going to read that for us.
A trusted role model, advisor, wise person, friend, steward or guide, a person who works with emerging human and organizational forces to tap new energy and purpose, to shape new visions and plans, and to generate desired results. A coach is someone trained to devoted
coaches. Friend. Friend. Love that. Role model. A guide. Emerging human. Yeah, emerging human potential. Beautiful. Right. Anything else?
Definitely
Minch?
What was it?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I said Mitch without Marcus.
Okay, I think it's like I think it's a Jewish term. It means like kind of like wise person.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I love the devoted. I love the word devoted in here. When I think about my coaching clients, my therapy clients, and even my opportunity to come here and be with you, it feels like it requires some devotion. I would never do this just for fun. No, it's scary. But anyway, devotion, I think, stands out. You're here as teachers. I think teaching is a really hard profession. So I'm guessing you all also have some level of devotion to your students and to your role. So I'd like to invite you to just be here now. It's so hard to be fully focused on anything without a million distractions. So I'd like to invite you to bring your attention to this room and to our time together. And think about my question that I asked earlier. What is it you would like to get out of being here today? We only have 45 minutes, 35 now. But I love the idea that you can walk through a door and have an experience with a group of people and leave with a shift in perspective. You can leave with a different way of seeing the world that can change the trajectory of your life. So I hope that something can shift for all of us today as we spend our time together. I want to tell you a story about a time when my youngest daughter is the founder of a worldwide motorcycle collective for women. She's kind of a badass. And she gifted me with a Harley-Davidson safety motorcycle class one year, and so I decided to take it. I used to ride bikes when I was a young woman. And so I was pretty excited. On day 3, it was time for us to show off our skills. And we had 12 orange cones set up, and we had to maneuver around them. And I'd never ridden a bike with this orange thing here before. And so I noticed as I turned the corner that it would scrape on the pavement. And so it really threw me off, and I was knocking down cone after cone. I was kind of cussing under my breath, and all my old childhood scripts of failing were coming up for me as I realized that I was doing terrible. And so I felt the tears starting to come, and I pulled up next to my coach, trying not to run him over, and he was smiling, and he said, "Damn, girl, you can really lead a bike." And I said, "What?" I was about to burst into tears. I thought I'd done terrible, and that maybe I'd failed the class and not get my certificate and my license. And he said, "No, I could hear you scraping at every turn." He said, "That was awesome. I can tell you've ridden before." And I said, "But I knocked over all the cones." And he said, "No, you didn't. There's still 3 standing." He said, "How did you do that?" And I was so dumbfounded at the shift in perspective inside of myself. I said, "Well, I was trying not to run you over." He said, "Yep, you were looking where you wanted to go. Now go back and do it again." And then he said, "And Beth," and I said, "What?" And he said, "This time I want to see you smiling. This is fun." So I went back and did it again, and just his few words allowed my whole body to relax. I was able to get through with only knocking down a couple of cones, and I felt so much better, so much more hope, so much more enjoyment and pleasure. I went home and I was so motivated. I read my manual over 2 or 3 times before bed, and I couldn't wait to show up the next morning. So what did he do that changed my experience so significantly? Yeah, I focused on the positive. Yeah.
You built on your strength.
Built on my strengths, yes.
I think he encouraged enjoyment.
Yeah, he noticed, right? He noticed my face, he noticed my tears. He probably could ascertain that I was discouraged. So yeah, it was very significant, the difference that it made for me. I did get my license. I haven't used it, but that's a whole nother story. All right. So I love this island of Kauai, and they followed almost 700 students over a 30-year period. And they watched these students closely. I don't remember the purpose of the study exactly what they were trying to learn. I think it was an observational study. But they noticed that a subgroup of these 700 students came from very serious adversity in their lives. They had multiple divorces in their family. They had poverty. They moved a lot. Some of them had sexual and physical abuse and drug and alcohol abuse. And researchers know that children who grew up in these kinds of environments often go on to repeat these negative patterns. But they noticed that a small portion of these children grew up to excel in one or more areas of their lives. So they actually thrived. And researchers wanted to know what do these particular people have in common? And what was their childhood experience that allowed them to thrive in such difficult circumstances? What do you think they found? Yeah, she said mentors. They found that the common thread was they had one person who accepted them as they were, without condition, who provided a source of emotional support and acceptance. That's the one thing they had. How many of you are in a position to be a person like that for your students? Yeah, I see lots of head nods. Never underestimate the power that you have to make a difference in someone's life. As a therapist and a coach, I've got many, many letters and notes and people who find me on Facebook many years later after interacting with them that I usually don't remember their names. I often don't remember their faces, but they thank me for that brief time that we interacted. And I'm thankful that I care so much about showing up in such a way that making a difference is really important to me. And I love the study because this was my story. My parents, between the two of them, I had 10 divorces, and we moved lots of times. We had poverty in our lives, and I was the kid whose mom told us, oh, the social workers are here, sit on the couch and pretend you're sick. That's why you haven't been in school, that kind of thing. She just couldn't get together all the time to get us to school. But I like to think that I grew up to excel in a couple areas of my life, and I had somebody there along the way. It might have been a friend's parent, a teacher who noticed me, saw me, and was encouraging and supportive. So I love that study, and I see you as in a position to do that. So that's part of what we're talking about today. And the idea that if we learn and practice focusing on the things that are right, it's easier for us to make a positive impact on our students. It also becomes how we are. I think I have a tendency to be negative, but I've made this a regular practice to focus on what is right first, to look for the good in my animals, in my husband. I've been married for 45 years now, and we drive each other crazy, right? But I make it a practice to focus on the good. And I think he does that too, and it makes all the difference. As coaches, one of the things that we really focus on is having an open mind and approaching people as if they are whole, capable, and resourceful human beings. When we focus on what's right, it's easier to do that, right? We see people's strengths, we see the positive, we see that they're trying, even though something might be getting in the way and they may not be having the success that they want. We also try to listen. And I like to think of listening as listening to what is being said and what is not being said. So what are they saying? What are they not saying? Listening for, as coaches, we listen for motivation, values, goals, interests, things they're excited about, so we can call those out. They might be telling us about how depressed they are or how anxious they are, but they also interweave some other things that we can look for those positive things and say, I hear you, I see your face light up when you talk about this. So, the other thing that we work on is being present. Why is that important? Just being present with someone. What difference does it make? Yes?
Makes them feel important or heard or just that you care.
Yeah, absolutely. How hard is this for you to be really present with your students? I'm looking at you because you look like you're going to say something. Do you have any thoughts? Yes.
Well, I do find it a little challenging, like with my kids, but with my students, I really, it's just natural to be really focused on that.
Oh.
I turn everything else down. Well, I'm in the habit of shutting down my screen because a lot of time I have sensitive information on it.
Oh, okay.
It's not something that you want to share with students,
Yeah.
whether it's an exam or an students, or so I just shut it down.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've made a practice of taking away some of the distractions so you're more able to focus on your students than you are maybe at home when you have a million distractions.
Yeah.
Right. Anyone else? With your students, do you find some challenges to being present with them? Yes.
Yeah, well, there's so many, and they're all asking questions, and they're trying to input grades, and they're prep for the next thing. They're always interrupting, so sometimes it's like, okay, I gotta get to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah, that sounds really challenging. For me, I chose a profession where I just had one person in front of me. So that sounds like you do have a lot of challenges. It's hard to be present in our lives with anyone anymore, isn't it? I notice, we work at home on trying to put our phones away, but it's terrible how distracted we are with our phones. They say that if you even just having a phone on the table can basically ruin the potential conversation because we know that the people are going to pick them up, pick their phones up. So being present is really important. Yes, please.
Well, how do you, you probably might do this, but how do you become present? Even present with yourself.
Yeah.
How do you close it? How do you quiet yourself enough to be
Yeah, I love that.
It's just hard for me.
What's your name?
Donnie.
Donnie. Thanks, Donnie. It's a great question. How many of you have a little struggle being present even with yourself? Just quieting your mind and being still and being present. It's really hard, so you're not the only one. And I think of it, and I've learned to talk about it, kind of like a meditation. It's like any practice that takes focus, and it's just gently bringing your mind back to the here and now in this moment, especially if you have anxiety or depression, things that pull you away. But any of us are just very distracted. It's a normal state of mind. They call it the monkey mind, the busy mind. And in meditation, we talk about treating our mind like a golden retriever puppy. Like it's busy and it runs off and it forgets to pay attention, and we just gently bring it back. So I'm going to show you the easiest way and the most important way. One of the things we talked about in the last class was the vagus nerve is called the nerve of compassion, and it runs down your spinal column and intersects with your heart and your lungs and your digestive system. And what it does is it is part of the autonomic nervous system, so it triggers the relaxation response in your parasympathetic. It triggers that relaxation response. When we are in sympathetic or fight or flight, we're super distracted, and it's really hard to have compassion, to care, to be present, to find humor, or to connect, right? To really connect with someone. It takes being present. So the quickest way to trigger that relaxation response in our parasympathetic or in our vagus nerve is to bring our attention to our breath. And there's so many ways to do that, and so many great breathing exercises. Oh, do we have access to those Mindful Moments videos that I made on Chula? Is that part of our website?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have like 5 little short videos of different ways to trigger that relaxation response that you can find on our website, chula.com. So that's one suggestion. But we're going to just do a quick little breathing exercise together. I know you're like, oh, great. But this is the simplest exercise you can do to trigger the relaxation response. They say that this can add 5 years to your life. I bet it will add 10 to mine. I was always in fight or flight. I use this every day when I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm stressed. I use it before something like this when I'm stressed. I get stressed a lot, so I use this a lot. Just bringing my attention back to my breath. So I'm going to invite you all to join me in just a short breathing exercise and see what you notice about how hard it is for you. I challenge you to try it, at home, to try it in the night, to try it when you're talking to someone, to try it when you're talking with your students. Bring your attention back to your breath. So we'll begin and do this together. If you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. If you're not, that's okay. Just kind of stare with a soft gaze. Allow your gaze to soften. You might try uncrossing things because it kind of allows us to relax a little bit more. And I'd like to invite you first to just kind of bring your attention into your body. Feel your attention just literally your awareness come into your body, down to your toes. And then just begin by noticing. Just noticing what it's like to be in here. Sometimes it's uncomfortable to be in our bodies. We're used to being distracted, and we can have things going on that make us uncomfortable. That's okay. So no judgment, just being present in your body. Again, closing your eyes if that's comfortable, and then just bringing your awareness, lowering your tempo a little bit, and bringing your awareness to your breath. Being aware of the in-breath, noticing your belly rise as you breathe in, and that's an important thing, that your belly rises as you breathe in, and falls, relaxes, or deflates as you breathe out. And then consciously begin breathing in through your nose, allowing your belly to rise again on the in-breath, and out through your mouth, lowering your belly on the out-breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Notice if there's any particular area of tension in your body. Allow your breath to go to that place. Imagine your breath gathering up that tension and then exhale, blowing it out on your next exhale. If thoughts come, just let them come and let them go again, as if they're floating down a river, and you just notice them. You might even say to yourself, I'm thinking, and then bring your attention back to your breath. You might say to yourself, soft belly, to remind you that when your belly is soft, your whole body has an invitation to lighten and soften. Enjoy taking a few more deep breaths into your belly, being with yourself. Ready, gently bring your attention back to the feeling of sitting in your seat, your feet on the floor. Back to the room, and gently open your eyes. What did you notice? Anybody willing to share? It can be uncomfortable to do something like that, especially in a group. You might have felt some resistance. We can be anxious in our bodies. There's a lot of things that can happen, and it requires some patience with ourselves and some practice to have that become part of our lives and part of our way of being. But when we incorporate deep breathing into our lives, first of all, it adds 5+ years onto your life, because when we're in fight or flight, sympathetic, we call it sympathetic overdrive, you aren't digesting. Again, you're not kind of connecting, and your body doesn't feel that it's safe to heal, so it's not easy to heal from disease or illness, and you're more likely to get sick. So if we can learn to practice that sympathetic relaxation response, it can increase our well-being by a lot, because our body can heal and digest and absorb nutrients and all things. So I love that you asked that question, and I would say that it's a practice and that it's hard. And you can begin practicing today. And as you talk to people, just bringing your attention down. Oh, I got distracted. I'm back. So again, I use this a ton in my own life, and it's really changed my health completely. So I love the practice of breathing. And again, I think I have 3 or 4 more other breathing exercises on my website that you can use. So I'm going to skip that. sees the importance of asking before coaching. And this is another critical thing that we can do with our students and with our children that will make a huge difference. Huge street cred with our children, if you have them. But remembering that when we're using advocacy, which means anytime we are telling or sharing or instructing or advising or giving advice, it's really critical that we ask for permission. So not asking for permission before we share or give advice to someone is like barging down the door that doesn't have any handles without somebody opening it from the other side. Does that make sense? So it's really important to just ask a simple question that gives us permission. So we might say, may I ask you some questions? I'm concerned about your whatever performance in class. May I ask some questions? Would you like some input? May I offer a suggestion? Feel free to take a picture if you want, or I'm going to send the PDF to your folks and I'll have it distributed. Also, we're going to make the recording available. Would it be okay if I share something from my own experience with you that may or may not be helpful? We always want to remember that our advice may not be the advice they're looking for. You might say, I sense something's going on with you. Does that fit for you? What are your thoughts? I have some thoughts about that. Would you like to hear them? So just the simple act of asking for permission before we share, well, what difference do you think it would make?
I think it gives power to the person, and you're not like just throwing your stuff at them. You're letting them actually decide if they want your stuff.
Yeah, it's huge. It's amazing the difference it can make, and they feel respected, right? And that you didn't just barge through the door without asking. So checking in before we give advice or share anything is really important. Again, I'll make sure that you get those PDFs so we have that. We're going to talk about a simple framework called the GROW model, which was developed by Sir John Whitmore in 1992. It's a simple acronym, but it gives you a framework that you can use in any coaching conversation that you have with your students. Has anybody heard of it before? No? Yes? I saw it.
Yeah, not too long ago I did it for the coaching units. Tasha gave me access.
He did the LMS.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Awesome. Thank you for saying that. Good. I love to hear that. Appreciate it. It takes some patience as a teacher to get in there and do that. So good for you. Bravo. Okay, so the growth model is an amazing little framework, and it stands for, the G stands for goal. And in your interactions, you're just going to say, like, what's your goal? What are you working on? What's important to you? There's lots of different ways to ask each of these questions. And again, you don't need to write them down. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you. I also have a handout for you with the growth model on it. Okay, so you'll have that with you to take with you, so you don't have to write furiously. But it allows your coachee or your student to identify the goal, what they want to achieve in your interactions or what they're working on. It's so powerful when someone asks you, what do you want? These students, if you're doing traditional age college students, they often come to college or tech school. Nobody's ever asked them what they want before, right? They've grown up with someone telling them what they should do, and now they have an opportunity to have you ask them, what do you want? What do you care about? What's important to you? And the R stands for reality. What is the current reality of your situation? What have you tried? What's getting in the way? Those kinds of questions are options. Well, what can you do? What options do you have? What possibilities are there? What have you tried? Those kinds of things. And then finally, the W is your will or way forward. What are you going to do? You just mentioned all these options. What will you do? When will you do it? How will you hold yourself accountable? Those are the kind of questions that make up the real model. How many of you think that this is a useful tool in interacting with your students? Yeah. It's amazing with kids. How many of you are parents? Okay, this is amazing with our kids too. Instead of telling them what to do, just ask them. What do you want? Think about it. What's good for you? So there's lots of different ways to ask the questions, and on your handout I'll have some of these. You know, you don't have to say what's your goal. You can say what's the best use of our time. What do you want to accomplish? For reality, tell me how things are going now. Options, Again, lots of options. What's the most important thing to do next? What's the first thing you're going to do and by when? So, and then I always like to ask also, what will it mean to you to accomplish this goal? Tell me about that. Then you can see their face light up and you go, wow, this is really important. This means a lot to me. So, we don't have time to do the last one. I'm trying to gauge if we do. I'm gonna decide if we have a chance to do a little interaction for me to model this for you, and I'm gonna come back to it. First of all, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about Trula resources. I'm gonna give you a handout, and all the resources that we offer, we have a contract with USHE, the Utah State Department of Higher Education, and y'all are partners in that, and so you can access the resources that we bring for free, and so can your students. So you have access to the Trula Coach training, which is now on a learning management system. This is the training that I've taught all over the world to train coaches for large high-tech organizations. And we've made it more oriented specifically for teachers and faculty and staff and students that are our peer coaches. So these are some of the things that it has: coaching strategies, increased well-being. The good questions that we've had around self-management, self-care, self-awareness, breathing, those kinds of things. I think there's 4 different breathing exercises in there. So you have access to that for free through Tasha. You can also include peer wellness coaching in your assignments. There's a pre-built Canvas course that you can access, and you can just add this assignment to your coursework, and it's plug and play. So you can do that anytime. Again, Tasha would get you set up with that. And then you can also, if you see your students struggling, you can help them get signed up for coaching. They have access to free coaching. They're trained and mentored peer coaches. And amazing coaches, like incredible coaches. They care so much about making a difference in people's lives. So it's a really great resource for students. So those are the resources. And decide, what do you think? So we can do like a group grow activity, or I can model the grow exercise with somebody. What feels like it might be the most valuable? What? Modeling it. Okay, is that the vote? Who has a situation, a goal that you don't mind talking about in front of everyone, and that we can do a little modeling with? Does somebody have something you're working on that you don't have figured out yet? Something that you just would love to do? Yes. Wait. Are you willing to come up here and do it with me? Tell me your name again. Tasha. Oh, Tasha. I love that name. Okay, we'll try this, Tasha. Yeah. Take a drink. We'll try to talk loud, and I'll tell you you can just see kind of how the grow model works. Oh, Natasha. Do you go by Natasha or Tasha? Natasha. Wonderful. Okay. What are you working on? What's your goal?
I'm thinking of integrating the topic you just talked about into my class. I have an assignment called Practicing Self-Care, because I teach nurses and it's so important. And I'm thinking of maybe replacing that assignment with the one utilizing the Trula course that integrates self-care.
Okay. So your goal is to make a switch in assignments, and
Yeah, and it seems we just finished the training on making everything accessible, so that feels like a big deal. And this feels like it would kind of be a big deal, and I don't know if I can do them both together.
okay, so you're a little bit nervous about it. What would it mean to you if you could pull this together and make that happen? What does that feel like for you as far as why the goal?
Because I feel like if the students have it as an assignment to connect with a coach on Trula, that they could personally benefit from it if something comes up later on in the year while they're in nursing school, and we just have them as baby nurses. They're just getting started. They're going to finish our program and go on and get their RN long term to their bachelor's. So I just feel like then if they establish a relationship with a coach, even if it's just a one-time thing for an assignment, that they can be more likely to benefit from it later on if they really need it. And I really am a student advocate, so I care really deeply about my students, and I want to give them tools that will really help. And I feel like this is something that could really help.
So I'm hearing that you're thinking of their goal, their long-term well-being, and you wanted to have all the resources they can. But you're a little bit nervous about how you could pull it together.
Implement it, yeah.
Yeah, so what options do you have? What occurs to you of steps, and how to go about those
Well,
things?
the first option is tabling it.
Yeah.
And keeping like
Easier.
they're practicing self-care,
Right.
that's easier. I was also coordinating with a coworker,
Okay, I pick it up. Do it.
Yeah, say,
That's another option. Get her to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Pretty much so they work together.
anyway, mine is lifespan, so it works for
Okay.
lifespan and her course as well.
Okay.
So maybe we could work together.
Yeah. So option two is finding a colleague to help you.
Or just working with maybe Tasha or somebody that can help me guide me through it.
Yeah. So I hear getting more information, figuring out what it requires. Okay, anything else?
That's all that comes to mind.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask you to just, as you think about those options, now that you've put them out here like a spread, what occurs to you, what feels like the most right thing to do first? Or to look more into?
Well, I feel like the right thing would be to give them, to get this going so that we can get the students using the tool as soon as possible. We have a semester starting at the end of August, so
Yeah.
I mean, we are lockstep for that. And I don't even know if I can have the turnaround time to make that happen that quickly.
Okay, so it sounds like you've eliminated the don't do it option, and the find out more option seems to be the most important thing, but you're not sure. So finding out more information seems like the next step for you. Okay, and when will you do that?
Well, I would need to do it like early next week to see, I mean, to even find out
Yeah.
if I could get it integrated that quickly or if coming semester or if it's something to implement the following semester.
Okay, so you have some good questions to get answers to. All right. Would it be okay if I make a suggestion?
I'd like to hear a suggestion.
So there is a description here on what it takes, and then I would suggest you do talk to Tasha because I think she can help you get it done right. Normally when I'm doing this, I would just make my suggestion. I make sure you get all your ideas first, but I do have that suggestion for you. So, okay. So, and how will you hold yourself accountable?
Shared that this is a goal of mine and just put it out there and then I feel like I'm more likely to follow through.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Natasha, would you like a hat or a t-shirt?
Oh, you're sweet.
Okay, so that's a little bit what the grow model looks like in action. Pretty simple, right? What did you notice? How is it different than a normal conversation?
I feel like a lot of it was more guiding. I feel like it was leading them to find their own answers rather than just.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that. It was you're on their journey of discovering it.
Okay, love that. Who was the expert? She was her answers, right? People don't want our answers. They don't want our advice mostly. They want their own. They want to find their own. One of the best compliments my kids ever have given me is when my youngest daughter said, "Mom, you're my first go-to person whenever I have a problem because you don't try to solve my problem, you try to help me find my own answers." And I love hearing that the principles that I've studied and learned and practiced, I've been able to use in my role as a parent, as a mother, because it's not easy to do that. You want to just tell your kids what to do. But I love that she thinks of me that way. So, so I have a few minutes left, and we can do some other things too. But I'd like to know, are you noticing anything in yourself? Is anything shifting? Any ideas or aha moments coming from our conversation today that we can sort of dig into a little bit before you leave and expand on? Or what questions do you have about it? Yes, back in the back.
I noticed something while you were going through that activity that it's a flaw that I have, and you hit on it when your daughter complimented you. If I'm the expert in the room, sometimes I want to give them, if you will do X, it will work, I guarantee it. And I get annoyed and offended almost when they don't listen to me.
Yeah.
Why are you coming to the school if you're not going to listen to me? I am the greatest in the room right now. I have that power.
Yes, you are.
And then the other side of it is I would have more success if I took some of those tactics, because I use your skill that you show there when I'm not sure of the answer. Then I fish for those things from the student.
Yeah.
And they seem almost opposites, but really I can still be all-knowing and let them answer their own question. And it really just depends on the situation. You know, do they want the strong leader that's going to say, go here and do this, or is this the kind of student that if I tell them to go do this, they'll go tell me to do something else?
Right. I love the realness, I love the vulnerability, and I love the reality of the two sides of that tension, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we are the experts. I've spent my life learning about so many things that I just want to pass on to my kids, but guess what? They want to do their own learning. And so that's when I come back to the recognition that they're the expert in their own life. And I hate it when people give me advice, right? I just hate it because I also feel like I want to learn myself. And so, so if we can, that awareness that you just expressed is beautiful. If you can have that awareness, and it's okay to laugh at someone and say, hey, I'm the expert here. Here's what I do is I like to exhaust all of their options. What ideas do you have? What have you tried? What's worked? What hasn't? It takes a little time, right? And then, with permission, I have a suggestion that may or may not be helpful for you, but here's what I've learned, and I've found it to be extremely effective. And put it in your pile, figure out what you're going to do, but we don't want our suggestion to be the one and only gold standard. We want them to be empowered to make choices and to try things and fail and then go, oh, teacher said this would work, I'm just going to try that, right? We want it to be one option because we want them to end up feeling like the expert. Great question, thank you so much. Our time has come to an end. I hope that you will think about something that you're taking away today for your own well-being. Remember the breathing. When you wake up in the night, you feel a little anxious, it's hard to go back to sleep. Try it. See how it works for you. Again, I've taught engineers all over the world, and I was so nervous about teaching them breathing at first, and now every single one of them always says the breathing is saving me. So thank you so much for your time and for being here with me today. I really appreciate you. And thank you, Natasha.